Always great catching up with my next guest. Michelle Waterson Gomez is going to be taking on Luana Pinheiro, UFC 287 next Saturday. Michelle, how are you?
I'm feeling amazing. I'm really excited. We had a great camp this go around, and so I'm just excited to get out there.
Yeah, it's really going to be great. We haven't seen you in a bit. I think your last fight was in July. Was this by design? I know you have a lot of things going on outside the cage. Was this the right amount of time off?
You know, I really did want to try to get a fight before the end of the year. It didn't happen that way. I actually I had one fight left on my contract. So
Oh,
it was
gotcha.
kind
Okay.
of one of those things where we were talking to the UFC and figuring out what we were going to do. And, you know, I had a heart-to-heart with my husband, talked to my family, and just thought about where my career was heading. And my heart is with the UFC. You know, I decided to fight because I wanted to be able to put all my heart and soul into everything and be able to fight on a platform where it gets the most eyes, on a platform where I'm competing against the best in the world, and that's the UFC. And so we re-signed a new contract. I'm excited.
Excellent. Like how many fights? Like 4 or 5 fight? We saw your friend Holly Holm sign a 6-fight deal or something, right?
Yeah, it's a big fight contract, eight fight contract.
Wow, 8 fights, amazing. Well, what does that mean to you? Because you're a pioneer in this sport, as far as I'm concerned, as far as how long you've been competing and everything you've been through, and to get that contract, especially a big one like that at this stage of your career, you must feel really great about that.
Absolutely. I do feel like I am a pioneer. You know, I've been fighting for such a long time, 16 years. And I still feel like I'm in the prime of my career. I'm young, I'm healthy, I'm eager to learn, I'm growing and evolving, and that's all that matters, you
Yeah.
know. And it's just amazing how my journey has unfolded.
Yeah, it certainly has. Speaking of learning, I know it's never fun to talk about a loss, but what'd you learn the most from that fight against Amanda Lemos?
You know, I just I went back to the drawing boards and I just realized that you know, the loss was just a moment. In the grand scheme of things, even within that fight, I had such amazing victories. You know, I felt like I was winning up until I wasn't.
Mm.
so, so I can walk away with my head held high, knowing that you know I compete against the best in the world, and I'm right there neck and neck with them. You know, just kind of like what Shevchenko said. If that back spinning kick would have landed, it would have been a different story. But there's just so many variables in MMA that you can't hang your head low. Honestly, it's just every time I step into the octagon, I become a better fighter. And it's just given me confidence to know that I've been in the cage back to back to back to back against all these killers because I'm a killer myself.
Yeah, no, you certainly are. And good opponent here, 10-1 record. How do you feel like you match up against her?
I think it's a great matchup. I do think that she hasn't competed against a level of fighters that I have, and so I'm going to have that in my back pocket. And I feel like my strengths outweigh her strengths.
Yeah, absolutely. And Camp, who've been some of the main training partners that you've had a chance to work with ahead of this one?
I have a amazing group of people. Holly Holm on obviously
Mhm.
is one of mine. We're kind of in camp together because she just fought this last weekend and
That's
had
right.
an amazing fight and was able to put some of her grappling on display. But yeah, my one of my close teammates, Lydia, who is an up and comer, has been in my corner, and then we got a couple of the lightweight guys that train with me. Butters, we call him. His name is Jordan. He's a wrestler up and coming. Marquise, who is just this like fast and lightning training partner, and you know the list goes on. Ricardo and Jesse. I would say those are my main training partners, and it's hard for me to remember their last names.
Hey,
But
it's not your job to do roll call. That's mine. I got to look all that up. Lydia's Lydia Warren, right? Because I know
yes,
Brandon Gibson speaks very highly of her as a training partner and just a fighter in general. Because it must be fun for you that you get to train with all these up and comers and kind of keep you on your toes, right?
well, we talk about it all the time when you have these up and comers, and it's a weird spot to be in because you have to be hungry, but you have to be patient, right? Because nobody knows who you are. They don't see you, but you have to be just as hungry as the veterans and the people that are in the UFC and in the Bellators or whatnot. And so that's what Lydia has done. She's stayed hungry. She stayed in the gym, and she made herself available. And by doing that, she's just getting better better tenfold, and it's just putting in the work and putting in the time, and eventually it's going, she'll be able to reap the rewards for that.
And then we talked about Holly Holm. How much does that carry on in the gym, seeing her get a big win like that, dominant fashion? Like, how much does that feed off you going into this fight?
Oh, it's amazing. It definitely helps with the momentum. Everything is momentum and how you look at it. But, Holly's been chopping away at this, and the longer that I'm in this sport, the more I realize how much it takes, to dedicate yourself, and how much it takes out of your life. And
Yeah.
it is a choice that we make, but it can become overwhelming at times, and then you take a step back and realize, wow, it's all worth it, because we're touching the magic, as one of my coaches likes to say, is when you step into the gym, and you have this camaraderie with your teammates, they become family, and you guys are all striving for greatness. You literally are touching magic, and I wouldn't want to be doing anything else in the world.
And Holly had a great post-fight speech. It was everywhere on social media, I think, and I'm sure you can relate as a parent, just trying to set a good example. How important is that as an athlete to use your platform and spread the message of, keeping people informed of what's going on?
I think it's really important. I think that more of us should do it, especially as, strong female athletes. We do have a voice. The beautiful thing about Holly is that she lets her actions speak for themselves, and that's how she is in the gym. And I've kind of modeled myself after that. And that's the way I parent as well. My dad used to always say actions speak louder than words, and you can point your finger and tell your kid to go for their dreams and do this and do that all you want. But unless your child sees you going for your dreams, unless your child sees you being disciplined, unless your child sees you fall down, get knocked off the horse, and get back up and dust yourself off and go for it, then they're not going to understand what it really is to do those things. Yeah. So it's important for us as parents to be strong parents and to be good role models for our children.
Yeah, and that's something I've learned as a parent as well. I have a 6-year-old and old 5-year-old turning 6 soon, and then I got a 1-year-old turning 2 later this year. But just showing by example, you could tell a kid to do something, but if you actually show yourself doing it, then it's like, they'll learn it better that way, because they'll think you're just being a dad as opposed to setting an example, if that makes sense, right?
Absolutely. And if you're not the good example for them, then they're going to pull examples from places like social media, and you know how that goes.
Yeah. So. No, is that a challenge? Actually, I know it is for my kids, where I'm just trying to, find that balance between use social media for, and online and stuff for education, but then also keep them away from the bad stuff, because it's not really regulated, right?
It's not. And we let Araya know up front how superficial social media is. Yeah. Your likes and your friends and your followers really aren't your followers. The people that you can, hug and say goodnight to, and tell them good luck, and look them in the eyes and tell them, I love you. Those are the people that really matter.
Yeah, I agree.
So we try really hard to get her to have real relationships with real people.
Yeah, no, that's great. Good parenting. Doesn't surprise me though, knowing you. And your corner, I know your husband's always in there. Who else is going to be in the cage with you that night?
I got Coach Wink and Professor Barata, who just came back from Pan Am's and won the gold. Man, we're on a winning streak, and it's just an amazing feeling. I think we just kind of settled into what it is to enjoy competition, to go out there and perform.
That coach you just mentioned who won the Pan Ams, he's, I believe, cornering Lando Venata as well. I just interviewed Lando before we got on here, so that's interesting, kind of crazy timing there, which is nuts. So there you go. How do you see this fight playing out on April 8th? How do you see this one going down?
I'm really excited. I know that for myself, I'm going to put a high pace from the beginning and see if she can keep up. I know that she's going to want to try to close the distance and clinch and use her judo throws. So I'm ready for all of it. But as long as I, set the pace, I think I can keep the pace for the entire 3 rounds and, show some of my good setups that I've been working on, and some cool stuff that I'm excited to get out there and show the world.
We mentioned Amanda Lemos, your last opponent. It looks like she's going to fight Weili Zhang next. I don't really know who else would be in line. How do you think she'll do? Because that's a really interesting fight with Weili, in my opinion.
It is. I think they're both kind of, they both have their own strengths. And I do think it's a tall order for Amanda. But you never know. It really is like MMA is wild, man. It is a wild, and it can be anybody's night at any time. But Lemos has the focus, she has the fire, she has the drive. And so I always just hope for a good, entertaining fight, but from both girls. And that's kind of, it's weird. Like I used to pick sides, but man, I've just fallen in love with all these fighters and their drive, because I know what it takes. And so I always just want them to be able to go out there and perform at their best. And then, who's ever the best fighter that night will come home the victor.
We got the Ultimate Fighter coming up. Are you going to be watching? Is that something that get you? I know you're busy. You got a million things going on, but with the coaches this year, it looks really exciting with Connor and Michael Chandler.
I might tune in every now and then, but like you said, I do get quite busy outside of fight camp with the other, adventures that I have and stuff like that. But it's kind of hard to resist the entertainment between Chandler and Connor. I think that'll be quite cheeky.
I know it's not your weight class, but Valentina Shevchenko losing her title. What did you think of Alexa's big win finishing her?
I was very happy for Alexa. I thought that she went out there with the confidence of a champion before she even stepped in the cage, and you can see that resonate throughout the rounds. It didn't matter if she was down on the scorecards. Her resilience and her determination to win the fight is ultimately what won her the fight, and it's because she saw an opportunity and she jumped on it and she didn't let go of that opportunity. And those are moments in life that you'll never forget, and it's something that'll carry her through the rest of her life.
And last question, Jon Jones winning the heavyweight title. How cool was that after him being off for so long?
I think it's very cool. I think this is a fun. Honestly, I think this is going to be an easier bracket for him than the bracket he was in beforehand. Fun for him. He's a great wrestler, and he just has the upper hand on all these guys. And maybe I'm speaking too soon, but I had high hopes that Gon was going to give him a little bit of a challenge, and it just didn't seem that way. And so I feel like Jon is going to run through these guys.
Have you spoken to Jon since he won the title?
No, I have not.
Okay. And just last thing, he's voted as the #1 pound for pound fighter right now. I assume you would agree with that, just what he's been able to do. 2 titles now. It's pretty amazing.
I mean, it's hard because like the bigger guys, I might be biased because I feel like the smaller guys are more technical. And so it's like, how do you call pound for pound if you took like a Volkanovski and you made him Jon Jones size, like how would he do?
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, I don't know, like I can't, I'm a little biased in that sense, because I feel like the lower class guys are more technical.
Fair enough. Michelle, I know you got to get to practice. I don't want to make you late. Anything you want to plug before we get out of here? Sponsors, social media, anything like that? I'll give you the last word.
You guys come through to Miami, watch me put on a show. I'm excited to get out there and be a fighter and put on a show. Love you guys.